You want to start? We can do that. Maybe it would be easier for them to remember if you wait until... Okay. Once again, welcome. Thank you very much for coming tonight, and thank you very much for coming for the last 5 years, those that have done that. Because there are a lot of new people here tonight, and because this is the last session and we are recording it, for that reason, I'm going to give a brief bit of background again on exactly what this channeling is, how it started for me. Those that have heard it before, please bear with us. And how it's ending, why it's changing rather than ending. Before I actually go into that, what I would like to say, especially for the new people, is, I don't know, many of you I'm sure heard about this in a various number of ways as to why you're here tonight. But the one thing that I especially like to underline for new people is to please understand that there is absolutely nothing about this channeling that in any way, shape, or form insists that you have to believe that it is what we say it is, because there's no way we can prove that to you at all. This is the product of my own personal experiences, which I have followed based on where things and events seem to lead me. I present it because the information does seem to have impact and does seem to have validity and does seem to make changes when people apply it in beneficial ways. And so we keep doing it for that reason. Bashar does present himself as an extraterrestrial consciousness. He has talked about his civilization. He has said that they do have a physical reality, even though they're in a slightly different dimension from us. But as he is only coming through in this way, through the channeling experience, from mind to mind, telepathically at this point, and there's no real, shall we say, concrete physical evidence, right now we're just offering it for whatever it is that you find of value to get out of it. It's an opportunity to hear different views, something that perhaps is an idea that you've never considered from a certain point of view before, and find that if that information does in fact work for you, then by all means apply it to your life. If it doesn't work for you, don't worry about it. You'll get what you need somewhere else. But you can have a lot of fun with that. So please remember that even though those that are familiar with Bashar know that he's sort of commanding, he's very straightforward, he doesn't really hedge his words. What you're hearing in terms of his degree of boldness is simply the degree of conviction that he has about the things that he believes work for him. Please don't take his directness as an indication that he in any way, shape, or form thinks that what works for him has to work for you in the same way. It's just a sharing, but because his planet, his civilization has absolutely no hesitation and no doubt in their lives about what they do, a lot of times it comes off very directly, and to some of us that can sound somewhat preachy. But just don't take it that way. Take it simply as an offering or as an opportunity to look at something from another point of view. The way that this channeling actually began, at least within the physical lifetime, was from a physical experience about 15 years ago now, on 2 occasions within the same week, with 4 friends present with me on the first occasion and 2 friends present with me on the second occasion. We had very close, broad daylight physical sightings of Bashar's spacecraft over Los Angeles, an equilateral triangular craft of a dark gray metal, roughly about 40 feet on a side. Now, what I didn't understand at that point, aside from having seen what everyone called a UFO, and what I have come to understand since then through the experiences that have happened to me, is that that sighting was Bashar's way of sort of tapping my subconscious memory to allow me to start investigating the idea of UFO phenomenology, metaphysical studies, and anything else that was applicable, so that I would gain the background that was necessary to be able to eventually do the channeling that I had agreed to do prior to this physical life. Not something that I remembered at the time of the sighting. 10 years later, which was 5 years ago, I got to the point in my investigations where I started learning about such things as channelings, and I went to investigate several channels that were operating at that time. One of the channels at that time was conducting a class, and the entity coming through that channel offered to teach people about channeling. I took him up on the offer, not so much to think that I was going to become a channel, but just because there weren't many books out on the subject at the time, and I thought that going into a class would be one way to hear some new information. During that class, through a series of guided meditations, when my mind was in a receptive state, Bashar and his people made the telepathic link with me, and as soon as they did, the knowledge of having made the agreement prior to the physical life came back. The memory came back. I remembered at that one instant who they were, who I was to them, why we had made this agreement to be of service in this way. And basically they asked me telepathically, well, now that you remember this, do you still want to do it? Because it is a choice. It always is a choice. It's not something that's forced on you, no matter what our experience of that may be. And after thinking about it for a while and hoping that I wasn't going nuts, I decided that it was valid, that the information coming through did seem to have some cohesiveness, some coherence, and I decided to go ahead with it, and that was 5 years ago. At this point, what's happening is something that Bashar has talked about many times throughout the 5 years. He's talked about the principle of what he calls excitement, doing what excites you the most. Not just as a philosophy, because a lot of times everyone on earth, we talk about, well, be nice to be happy, be nice to do what you want, do what gives you joy. But we usually think of that simply as a philosophy that doesn't necessarily have any real bearing on the reality of how you get there or don't get there. It's something that seems in our minds to be separate. It's a nice attitude, but it doesn't get the thing you want. Bashar himself has now talked about that from his point of view. The whole idea of excitement to him represents an aspect of true physics, of understanding the nature of the construction of the universe, which he says is simply constructed out of different vibrational frequencies of one primal energy. You want to call that energy God, Supreme Spirit, all that is, that doesn't really matter so much. But he says that all the different things that we have in life, all the different realities, all the different people, places, times, dimensions, are different because they are the product of a different vibration in the homogeneous energy out of which everything is made. And he's basically saying that whatever vibration you create yourself to be will attract the corresponding reality to you. And to him, this is simply the basic law of creation, and it's the only law that he says actually exists. What you put out is what you get back. And every reality, he says, is based on that. So he calls excitement, along with love, one of the prime vibrations, or the prime vibration. Excitement, he says, is our physical translation of the vibration that represents our truest self. So that when things occur in our lives that represent our strongest desires, the things that move us the most, he's saying that is the sign and that is the signal that a lot of times we ask for, but very often ignore, to the universe to let us know what's my mission, what's my purpose, what could I be doing, what can I do to fulfill myself. He says anything that brings you that level of excitement, if acted on with integrity, will always represent the answer that you're seeking. Because excitement is a particular vibration, and it keeps you in alignment with the path of your truest being in a creative and positive way. So, during the time that he's been sharing this information, I have been, hopefully, learning it myself and applying it where and when I can in life. And so the reason that the sessions are now changing is because of something that excites me very much. I am basically, and have been for about 15 years, a designer by trade. I've worked in films, commercials, special effects, miniatures, things like that. And my business partner and I have come up with a plan for what could basically be called a futuristic theme park. The idea being that it's enclosed in one structure, and when you're in it, it's like being on a recreational space station in the future. And you can interact with alien civilizations, you can have different adventures, you can go on rides, you can be on the station, you can go to alien worlds. All of this is being presented, or will be presented, in a very realistic manner, an interactive manner. Unlike a Disneyland where you are basically told to enjoy the ride but keep your hands off, our project, which we call Andromeda, is such that you are necessary to make the attraction happen. You have to decide where you're going with the other people in the attraction. You have to decide what the outcome will be. So that every time you go through these experiences, whether they're relatively tame or relatively exciting, a different outcome can occur every time you go through it. This is a project that excites us more than anything else at this time. And coupled with the idea that these channelings are mostly for the purpose of allowing us to learn our own power and to do in life what excites us, so we don't need to run to Bashar or run to some other entity for our answers. The idea being that we need to sort of take over responsibility for doing what we really want to do and change the world the way we want to. Coupled with those two ideas, we decided to go ahead and put the idea of the park out and seek the individuals that would help us put it together. Well, now it has officially started. We are going to be working on this project now basically full time. And this gives me an opportunity to put into practice all the things and all the principles that Bashar has said can work in our reality, and for me to become my version of what I imagine Bashar must be in his civilization, which means fully committed to an idea, full of conviction, acting on that desire, and being as creative as I can be and having as much fun as I can have, which doesn't hurt. So we have just received, there are people that are familiar with this project already to some degree, and I will now give an update. We have just received our official schedule for starting on it. It goes, of course, in three main phases, which is a feasibility study, the design, and then the construction. Feasibility study, for those that are simply not familiar with that briefly, is simply the parameters that need to be laid out to determine what will allow the project to be comfortable for people to visit, what will allow it to make its money, so that we make sure if there's going to be 30,000, 40,000, or 50,000 people a day going through it, that they can all fit, they're not crammed together, that they have enough bathrooms, and so on and so forth. That's what the feasibility study tells you. Then you take that information, you give it to your designers, and then they can design the look of the place based on the amount of room they know they must work with. It also determines the best place for the entire thing to be. We have now in the process of discussing that most likely, now this is not official because we haven't finished negotiation, most likely this project, which will be on the Disneyland scale, right now we're thinking will be probably somewhere near Palm Springs. That will work out as we go along. But our feasibility study section will start in mid-February. That will take about 2 to 3 months to do, and the design phase will start in around May. At that point, we'll be designing it for about 18 months to 2 years, and then after that, we're imagining it will take about 2 to 3 years to construct. So we're looking roughly 5 or 6 years down the road. 93, 94 is when we're looking for it to open. So this is what excites us. This is what gives me an opportunity to apply all the things Bashar has been talking about. And, of course, I extend an invitation to all of you to please come and play in it when it's done. So, because that's going to take so much time, we're shifting. But as I said, there will be sporadic interactions of this nature, because this does a lot for me, as well as, hopefully a lot for you. It's nice to have this interaction this way. The energy is really something to experience. At least I get a lot out of it. So for the last 5 years, for what's going on now, for your participation in helping me get where I want to go, and hopefully we've helped you a little bit to get where you want to go, I would like to extend a very big thank you to all of you for your support, because that's what's made it possible for me to do what excites me the most. So thank you very much. On that note, if any of you are working on your own projects, things that you have had that are dreams, that you really believe can be done, but you may be finding out that there are some difficulties to go through, some things to learn, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, it really gives me pleasure to say it can be done. Don't drop it. Be persistent, because you can do it. I know that, because I've seen it work for me. Please don't let your dreams die, because that's what will change the world. All right? Anything else I need to say? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there is one thing. We have someone who is going to be putting together, because now we're going to be doing these sporadically, someone has come up with an idea, a newsletter to keep people that are interested in maintaining a connection between lots of different people, to have a forum to do that in. They are now creating a newsletter called The Galactic Connection. And they need your support not only financially, but also in terms of things that you might want to share, projects that you're working on that they can put in the newsletter to let other people know what is going on, so that a resource pool can be created, an information pool can be created, because that's the thing that I learned in this project is the critical thing. You can do a million things, but if you don't know where to find the information, you're stuck. This kind of a project can allow people to pool together a lot of knowledge to find out what's going on with like-minded people and to help cross that information in a networking sort of way. So those that are interested in supporting this project, the Galactic Connection newsletter, please, there are some flyers over on one of the sideboards which you can pick up during the break or at the end of the session tonight. And also see Sandra. Where are you, Sandra? Yeah. She has her hand up in the back, the lady with the green and white top. Feel free to talk to her. She'll explain more about it. But it would be one way that you can also remain in connection and keep the momentum of the energy going. Anything else?
There's also a plastic bucket there.
Okay, but they'll talk to Sandra about that. So, okay, Steve will read the names that have been drawn for the questions. When Bashar comes through, usually he will say something first that he feels is indicative of the energy of the evening. And then he'll turn it over to you. Names have been drawn for people to come up and ask questions. And again, as Steve has pointed out, the idea of the general questions, Bashar usually has a knack for turning any kind of a question into something that can be generalized for everyone to get something out of it. But more importantly than that, more importantly than the style of the question, please, especially because we have so many people tonight and we're really limited on time, please keep it to one question so that we can get as many people through this interaction as possible. Getting the wind's coming up. Okay. Bottom line to this whole experience. That's the solar wind. Oh, yeah, really. The joke there is that Bashar at one point talked about one of the city, what he calls a city ship or a mothership, and he said that in our language, the name of that ship would translate out to the solar wind, and that's the joke that was being made here. Bottom line to all of this is please have a good time, have as much fun as you can, because the lighter you are, the lighter the energy you create, the lighter his energy is, and the easier it will be for him to send energy and information to you on all different levels. Most importantly, listen to what everyone has to say who comes up here. You may not think that their question is pertinent to you, but if it were not so, you wouldn't be here to hear it. You can always get something out of everything everyone says. And sometimes you'll find that a question you didn't get to ask, someone else will ask for you. So everything that everyone has to share is a gift. Please enjoy it. Have a good time. I'll see you at the break.
Okay, number one, Kathleen Carter. Reba, number one.
This evening of your time as you create time to exist. We greet you this evening of your time for this, what you may call a final interaction between us in this manner, in this style, in this timing. But it is not, we would remind each and every one of you, of course, an ending, but a shift of energy. And the reason for the shift at this time is because of the changes you have made upon your planet. It is your timing that we set our schedule by. Because only when your civilization, or at least certain pockets of it, desire change in certain directions, can we then interact with you to move that direction forward, to share new information with you. Completely. It is up to your timing, your decisions, and your choices that allows us to determine what we can, what we are allowed to share with you. We use the word allowed simply to imply that we always consult, shall we say, your own higher consciousnesses in terms of information that we impart to you to ensure that we are in no way, shape, or form giving you information that would rob you of the surprise, of the discoveries, of the explorations that you yourselves wish to make in your own good timing. These ideas that we share with you are only for the sense of nudging, are only for the sense of exploring directions that you yourselves are willing to move in, and only to the degree that you are willing to move in those directions. There is no rush to the transformation upon your planet. You are eternal, infinite beings. You have all the time in creation, literally, because you are creating all the time you experience, subjectively. You are the creators of your physiological reality, and this we have discussed. And many of us who are coming through in this manner have discussed from time to time, over and over again, many times. You are the creators of your reality. Many times, in the beginning especially of these interactions with you, many of you have thought that we were speaking, shall we say, philosophically, that we were talking about airy ideas in that sense, that we were simply talking about nice points of view, and that these ideas would not make one iota of difference in your day-to-day physiological, solid, unmovable, unchangeable reality. But now many of you have come to understand that the things that we have been discussing are principles themselves of energy, principles themselves of creation. They are the tools by which you can engineer your physical reality into anything you desire it to be. Anything you desire it to be. As we have discussed also many times, and as you yourself have said in your civilization, you are made in the image of God. Made in the image of all that is. Whatever you choose to define all that is to be. All that is doesn't care. All that is knows what it is. And all that is knows it is its own single identity. But at the same time, all that is knows it is made up of all beings within it. That all of its creations, in that sense, together form the single, all that is. It sees no dichotomy in this. It sees no conflict in this. It knows itself to be all the differences and all the oneness. All the positive, all the negative, all the different experiences that you choose to have are all a part of the oneness. There is no outside. There is no true cutting off of yourself from the oneness. But because you are made in the image of God, you are co-creators too. You have the ability to create your own immediate domain, your own immediate experiential reality. Unequivocally, absolutely, totally, so perfectly, so second-naturedly, so smoothly that you have created the ability to forget that you are doing it. You have created the ability to make it seem as if the reality that you call real is somehow outside of you, that you are in that reality, that you are subject to that reality instead of master of that reality. By being extensions of the creation, you are given domain over your own immediate experience. Yes, we understand that because you consider yourself to be and are created in a sense to be a fragment of the whole, that you do not necessarily in your immediate reality have what you may call the combined power of the whole. And so you may think to yourself, well, I am not God, and it is blasphemous to say I am God. But understand once again, God knows that itself is made up of all of you, all of us. In that sense, the meaning of saying you are the creator of your reality in no way, shape, or form takes away from the idea of the total whole. In a sense, your acknowledgement of your birthright, your acknowledgement of being a facet of the infinite strengthens the positive side of that union. in a sense, is the acknowledgement of the gift that you were given in being created to begin with. The idea is to utilize the power you are, to be fully the reflection that you are. Many individuals in your civilization have talked for a long time about desiring unity upon your planet. And many of them have thought that unity can only come from creating your identities in a homogeneous manner, where you smooth out all the differences and all become the same. And this is not so. True unity is the product of the strengthening and the validation of all the unique differences within the individual components. You yourself, as we have said, know that as a personality, you have many different personas, many different points of view, many different identities, even within the one individual that you are. You know that you function best as a whole person when all those different aspects of your personality are given equal credence, when they all operate in full strength with full conviction, unilaterally, equally. Then you function as a whole. Likewise, as you say on your planet, when each and every one of the individual personas you are on your whole world is given validation to be a different way that all that it has of expressing itself, then you will have the unity and the peace and the love that you seek. But as long as individuals will judge others for the style of their creativity, thinking that their way is the only way, the right way, the one way, then you are, in a sense, throwing back into creation's face the gift of diversity that creation is. By definition, all that is all that is. No exceptions. Well, yes, all that is all that is except you. Because I don't like what you have to say. I don't like the way you go about it. So yes, creation is everywhere, but I don't know how you got in. You must be an exception. You must have found some sort of a doorway, some sort of a hole. You must have snuck through from somewhere. But understand, as I know you already do, the idea of unconditional love, of the validation and the equalization of all ways of being, that unconditional love, that approach, is what gives everyone and anyone the opportunity to best realize themselves. And if they should have chosen to be functioning in a negative way, only unconditional love gives them the opportunity to find another way, should they so desire. The idea of forcing someone to change is a contradiction in terms. Unconditional love, understanding, is what will allow individuals to know that they are valid in the eyes of creation and that they can be anything they desire, because every point in creation contains the ability to be anything, any point, anywhere, anywhen. That is the holographic nature of existence. Anything is everywhere. It is accessible from where you are. That is why individuals do not necessarily have to run around their entire lives looking for the center of it all. Where you are is the center. From you comes all that you wish to create. Yes, there are valid tools. Yes, there are rituals that you may desire to assist you. All of these ideas are valid. If they work for you, use them. If you change your mind and find that you wish to change the method, change the ritual, make it simpler, make it more complex, make it positive, make it negative, that is up to you. All we are saying is, you are not at the mercy of these changes. You are not creation's victim. You have, by forgetting that you have created your reality, created the game of victimhood, created the game of struggle, created the game of forgetfulness, but you are in control. You always have been, you are now, and you always, always, always will be. No matter what game you choose to play, no matter how much you choose to forget, you're always controlling that idea. As we have said, you are always using 100% of yourself, even if you are using 90% to pretend you're only using 10%. You are still a 100% being. You can be nothing more, and you can certainly be nothing less. The idea is to come to terms with where you have diversified your energy. How much stock, as you say, in your civilization do you have in this belief? How much stock do you put in this idea over here? How are you segmented? How are you divided up? Allow yourself to examine and explore the strongest beliefs within you. Sometimes, again, because of the forgetting game, they can be very, very subtle and may take you a while to discover that you even have certain beliefs within you that are keeping from you the very things that you want. Examine very clearly the ideas, your viewpoints on every single issue. Look at everything as if seeing it for the very first time. Ask yourself, what do I really believe about this? Do not allow yourself, well, you can if you wish, I'm not telling you what to do, but we would suggest that if you wish to change more easily, then you do not allow yourself to automatically assume that the first belief you have about something is actually somehow representative of the way it actually is. Because there is no such thing as the way it actually is. Anything can give you any number of experiences. You can draw a positive or a negative experience from every single situation. And you can draw a number of positive or a number of negative experiences from any single situation. Give yourself the chance. Give yourself the opportunity to play with the ideas that come to you seemingly so automatically in life. And that the beliefs that you so automatically attach to them, give yourself the chance to understand that those are just points of view. They are not chiseled in steel. They are not written into the fabric of space and time. Well, this is that. It's always been that way. Therefore, it must always be that way. And every time you see this, that's what it means. That's what you have been taught. That's a belief. It's one belief. It's not the only belief. Were there only one belief, were there only one way, there would only be one person. Look around. There are many of you. Each and every one of you is yet one more eye of creation, one more window, one more tool, one more way that creation has of expressing itself. And to say that you are a tool does not mean you are controlled. For understand again, another contradiction that we have found in certain, shall we say, factions of your society. The idea that what you may call God or infinite creation that would give you free will and then seek to control your destiny, very contradictory. The idea is that you are co-creators with free will. You can create whatever you wish. Now, the idea again is simple physics if you wish to look at it this way. And once again, there is only one law, so to speak. What you put out is what you get back. The definition of positive action is that which unifies, that which accelerates in an integrated way. Therefore, when you have more to work with, the going is easier, it's smoother. There seems to be less struggle and strife, less effort, more fun, more excitement. When you choose a positive way, that's what you get. When you choose a negative way, it is no less valid, but you must take the tools that come with it by definition. Negativity is the idea of segregation, separation, diversification, adding more details instead of looking at it in a unified way, adding more time for the details you now have added because you have to examine them, more space for them to occur in because you've added more components. You're breaking it up, fragmenting it, fractionalizing it, and in so doing, you take longer. The tough in that sense happens to you, and it seems as if you become a victim of life because you are surrounding yourself, immersing yourself in more and more and more analysis and detail. Now, we are not saying that reason is wrong. Always maintain your reasoning faculty. But understand that a balance is necessary with intuition so that you know that you can move in positive directions effortlessly, rather than continuing as a society to believe that anything worth having you must struggle for. Yes, persistence is necessary, but persistence in no way, shape, or form has to imply struggle. Watch your definitions. That is what we are saying. When someone says, well, yes, you must be persistent, many of you will simply say, oh, no, well, that means I'm going to expend a lot of toil and energy and I need a lot of stamina to do what I want. No, 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 because remember, when you do what you love to do, You are having fun doing it. And persistence is simply your focus, your determination that this is what you want. Time flies, as you say, when you're having that fun. Things go quickly, effortlessly, synchronistically. Everything in the right place at the right time, where and when you need it. As many of you perhaps have been able to tell by now, the title of tonight's session is Summation III, where we are summing up very briefly, in an encapsulated form, many of the principles that we have discussed for the last 5 years of your time of counting. Now, understand that even though there may be in your terms new individuals that may or may not be hearing some of this for the first time, you are here by no accident. You have what you need to absorb any or all of this information on whatever level you need to absorb it upon. Relax. Let it in. Let it come to the surface when it needs to, if it needs to. But understand, very, very importantly, understand. Whatever does come to the surface, whatever you do use, it is because you choose to use it. Whatever you experience in life, it is because it is a choice. Consciously, sometimes. Unconsciously, other times, because you have created, by fragmenting yourself, by playing the forgetting game, you have created yourself to be a conscious being with an unconscious side, which doesn't really exist. You are one consciousness, one. An unconscious self is a convenient compartment that you have created to put things you don't want to look at right now. Because you have been taught that looking at these things is frightening, is somehow dangerous. So you have created a very nice cabinet, and you have written unconscious self across it, and you have shoved all those things in that closet. That is why now when you explore the idea of blending your consciousness together, you find that many things that may have been suppressed for hundreds or thousands of years in your society are beginning to pop up. And you may find that it is a very wild, fluctuating ride. And there may seem to be an increase of what you may call volatility upon your planet and negativity. But that is because it is all bubbling up now. You're letting it all out. So you can choose consciously what you want your planet to be, how your world shall be. It is the choices you are making that allows us to interact with you at this timing in your civilization. There are many extraterrestrial societies that are aware of you. And again, I remind you, as we have said, there is more and more of this information now coming out on your planet. Your own governments are very well aware of the fact that there are, in fact, many of us interacting and have been interacting with you for quite some time. When you choose not to hide things from yourselves anymore, when you know you can take responsibility for the information that comes to you in your life and handle it in a positive way because you choose to, there will no longer be a need to have a structure on your planet that keeps secrets in that sense, that safeguards you from what they believe or what you have told them to believe is protecting you. Because they want to run things in that sense. Remember that your governments are you. You are your governments. You cannot separate yourself from that. You cannot blame them. Well, it's their fault. They're keeping all this from us. I want to know. Create the change. Be the government in that sense. Be the idea of open, loving, unconditional communication with all individuals on all levels. No one is better than you. No one is less than you. You are all equals. Act like it, and you will have an equal society where all information is shared. And when you choose to do that, if you choose to do that, you will create your world to be of a vibrational state that will be easier for our vibrational state to interact with. Because your dimension is unique. Our dimension is unique. And we cannot interact unless the vibrations are at least similar. As you go out with your technological spacecraft, as you learn different ways to travel through the universe, you will find that if you were to explore the totality of your physical universe within the frequency, within the vibrational frequency you occupy now, you would find not one single inhabited world. You, in that sense, are the only inhabited planet in your frequency. The idea of going to another planet and seeing inhabitants on that planet, if you can see them, means you have, through some method, either through belief or through belief through technological symbology, you have changed your frequency to match more closely the frequency of that reality so you can perceive each other. Every difference is a product of a different frequency. You have to agree, even individually, unconsciously, telepathically. You have to agree to share a common vibration in order to even perceive each other on your own planet. But you do this flawlessly. But such is the nature of creation, and this may give you a clue as to truly how multifaceted and multidimensional the possibilities are for what you can experience. Sometimes, again, because of what you have brought yourself up to believe, when all of a sudden, sometimes, and I'm not, as you say, putting you down for this, but sometimes when some of you in your world realize the true probabilities, the true possibilities that are open to you, you get a little scared. All of a sudden you are put squarely in touch with exactly how powerful you are. And it scares you, because you have been taught you are not supposed to be able to handle that much power, and if you find that much power coursing through your body, you'll blow up. Or you'll die. Or you will be annihilated into oblivion. Or you will be transgressing what only belongs to God. You are made of God. If you choose a path of integration, a path of service in that sense, a path of positive excitement, and you act on it with integrity, nothing is denied you. Nothing, nothing, nothing. The only thing that prevents you from having in your lives what you desire is you. That you choose to believe that it must be held from you, that it must take this amount of time or that amount of time. Now, do understand, in no way, shape, or form are we putting down the process of learning, for you have chosen to do that in a very specific way. But many of you can find that even though you may choose a process through which you say you must go to have this certain experience in your physical reality, at no time are you obligated to go through that process by suffering. At no time. Not in what you now call this day and age. Perhaps in times past upon your planet, before you changed your karmic cycles. Perhaps then you were, shall we say, stuck in a rut, where perhaps you had an automatic feedback device that, quote-unquote, forced you to have to learn something in a specific way. But not now. There is no longer any excuse for that. Because now you are exploring the idea of consciousness. Because now you are willing to entertain the possibility. One of the choices, then, if you make that choice, nothing else will manifest. You do not have to be timid about making that choice. You deserve to make it, just like you deserve any reality you choose. The universe will hold nothing back from you. If you say, truly, with absolute conviction, this is who I am, this is the reality I am about, and you act with conviction in that direction, as that person, no other reality experience is possible. You cannot. This is only simple physics. Nothing complicated, nothing mysterious. Only simple physics. You cannot experience a reality you are not the vibration of. Period. If you find that you are, quote-unquote, trying to experience a particular kind of reality and find that you're not being very successful at it, it is generally, now this is, yes, a generalization, but it is generally because you are trying to have that experience instead of simply having it, instead of simply choosing to believe that that's the only reality that's true for you. You are creating within yourself or buying into within yourself certain beliefs that you have been brought up with. Not your fault, no blame here. And in buying into those beliefs, you may simply continue to act out certain ideas that truly do not represent what you now know you really want. And that's why, once again, we say, if you find that there is something you really desire, that you know is what you're all about, and you find that it's not happening like you feel it ought to, go into peace with yourself. Go into centeredness with yourself. Go into meditation with yourself. Relax. And give yourself the chance to examine what you believe about all the factors in your reality. You will be many times very surprised to find that when you finally grant yourself the ability to see the definition you had about this idea or that situation, you will see that the definition itself is self-explanatory and shows you beyond a shadow of a doubt why you're not getting what you want. I will give you one brief example that we have used before, because we know this is, shall we say, a big issue upon your planet. Abundance, abundance, abundance. All right, you're all abundant. You all deserve it. Unlimited amounts. Really? Yes. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, at least as far as I'm concerned. The idea, once again, just as one example, rearrange this, transform this example, apply it to you as necessary. But one example, many times, because of the way many of you have been functioning, many of you see, by example, that certain individuals upon your planet that may be, in your eyes, physically abundant, are perhaps, in your terms, morally or spiritually bankrupt. This may create a type of impression upon you, so that even without you consciously realizing it, you automatically begin to equate abundance with moral bankruptcy. And you say to yourself in an internal dialogue that perhaps sometimes is not as loud as you would like it to be, if I become abundant, that means I must also become morally bankrupt. And I don't want the moral bankruptcy, therefore I'll keep myself from being abundant. If you find, when you examine your issues, your beliefs about abundance, that you have that kind of a belief, that you say, well, wait a minute, I now realize that more often than not, when I think of a rich person, I think of someone, well, I'll use your phrase, a scum. Then you realize right then and there that you have concocted, you have built out of different belief components one particular belief structure. And you are saying with that belief structure, everyone who becomes abundant becomes a scum. I don't want to believe that anymore, you can say. Now I realize that's the definition I had. I will now disassemble those components, because being abundant does not have to be attached to the component of being morally bankrupt. What are the components? What are the ideas I would prefer? No judgment here. You do not judge or invalidate the moral bankruptcy. It may not be what you prefer. It may be a very negative thing. But if you judge it, you change your vibration to the same level. That's what your biblical phrase means when it says, judge not, lest ye be judged. It doesn't mean you're going to be judged from outside. It means as you judge, you become that vibration and you put yourself on that level and can't be where you want. So the idea is to let that go without judgment. It is simply one choice you could have made, but you no longer prefer it. Preference is not judgment. Preference is your ability to discern what you are all about, what excites you. Then examine the possibilities and say, what components would I rather attach to the idea of abundance? I would rather attach the idea that being abundant would allow me to continue to be a loving individual. I will be able to allow other people to be excited by sharing certain ideas with them. I'll be able to do this exciting thing and help change the world in positive ways. That's my idea of abundance. Therefore, let it come. Know that you can handle it. Know that you deserve it. You never, no matter sometimes what your mind tells you, what your beliefs tell you, you never get more than you can handle. So if you find that you have arrived at a point in your life where a certain situation is dropped in your lap, as you say, and you find yourself recoiling, oh no, that's too big a responsibility, I don't know if I can handle that, I'm really scared about that idea, I thought I wanted it, but now I don't know. Relax and take heed. You are never given anything that is beyond you, because that would be pointless. And the universe has no pointless or extraneous creations. Everything fits. Everything. Anything that interacts with anything else interacts because it belongs in interaction with it to represent a particular belief that is being lived out. Everything fits. In other words, to put it very simply, the universe works. Let it work. Relax and allow it to work. Allow yourselves to work by doing what excites you the most, by following that vibration and knowing, not guessing, not hoping, knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you do find something that excites you, something that you know is you, is what you are, that because it is your truest self, it will automatically provide you with all the abundance you need in whatever form you need it to allow you to keep on being that you. Because every single reality, every single belief, whether positive or negative, always comes with its own built-in self-perpetuating mechanism that makes it seem as if that's the only reality that exists, that that's the only reality that works. That's why there is upon your planet this idea that when one person finds one thing, they think that that's it. They've discovered it and they have to go around forcing everyone else to believe that, or else they're lost or damned or doomed. The idea simply is that's the nature of the structure of creation. Every idea is self-reinforcing. Otherwise, if it weren't, you would not be able to experience the pristineness and the purity of any one singular reality. All possible realities would all be jumbled up in front of you, and you wouldn't know what to do. So the idea is that when you lock onto a belief in physical reality, it will always attract the circumstances and the situations and the opportunities and the objects into your life that reinforce what? That circumstance and no other. When you change your mind, when you change your belief, when you prefer something else, you get all the tools that reinforce that belief. And it doesn't invalidate the last belief. The last belief and the last reality is still just as true as it always was. Because all truths are true. That's the nature of all that is. It's all real. You cannot imagine non-existence. Anything you can possibly conceive of is somewhere, somewhen, somehow a real experiential reality. Maybe not necessarily in your terms immediately applicable to your physical universe right here, right now, but that doesn't mean it's not real. Allow yourself to understand that the relaxation of going with what you call the flow is not giving up control, it is taking control. It's just that the natural control you already contain doesn't contain resistance. And your civilization has only been taught to see control when it contains resistance. Oh yeah, I'm controlling it because I can feel it resisting me. If there's no resistance, I must not be controlling anything. It's out of my hands. I've surrendered. I've given up. I'm flying free. I'm loose in that sense. I'm at a loss. I'm no foundation. I don't feel any resistance. I'm floundering. No. It is the lack of resistance, the complete lack of resistance, that lets you know you have arrived at your center of perfect peace, where all possible realities are equal. And therefore, it's easy to choose the one you want, because there is not any undue importance that this one be chosen over that one, or else. There is no defensive mechanism. I'd better do this, or else. There is only the understanding of the thing that needs to be taught to every child on your planet. Every single individual is already as powerful as he or she needs to be to create any reality you desire without having to hurt yourself or anyone else to get it. That's how powerful you are. Really. Now, I believe it. You don't have to. However, I would suggest that if you choose to, you might have a little more fun. However, once again, no matter what you choose to believe about yourselves, We believe in you utterly, and we love you unconditionally, and we thank you for the gift of being allowed to experience your consciousness, your particular, shall we say, flavor of reality. It is most enjoyable, most exciting, never a dull moment. You are a very accelerated school of learning. You are experiencing in your civilization things that other civilizations take eons to learn, simply because you have decided you are strong enough to accelerate the process by experiencing highs and lows. But now you have arrived at a time where you can balance that out, where you can still contain the knowledge of knowing that the negative choices are always there, that the negative possibilities are always there, and you can understand that sometimes even a negative possibility can be transformed into a positive result. But now is the time for you to also know that you can learn what you need to learn through joy, through excitement, and it can be done. It is not an esoteric principle. It is not an airy, as you say, philosophy. It is actual substance. That joy itself, love itself, is what you are made of. Literally, it is the substance itself of creation. That's what love is. That's why being in love means what you have done is you have synchronized with the prime vibration of existence. You are flowing. Everything works when you're in love, you say. The idea is to understand that you need to be totally in love with yourself and all that is. And then your world will be the garden that it is. Because we see it that way. And if you choose to see it that way yourself, we and all the civilizations in the association of worlds would be more than delighted to share our garden with you and your garden with us. We thank you at this time once again for choosing to be ambassadors and representatives in your civilization. We thank you for allowing me to be a representative of all the civilizations that are, shall we say, listening in. In return for the gift you have given us, I will ask you now, in what way may I be of service to you?
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
How are you?
Perfect, and you?
Oh, very well,
Oh, thank you.
I just, first of all, wanted to say that I have had the most extraordinary experience learning from you and sharing with everybody over the past few years, and I wanted to thank you. And
we thank you for learning to be yourself.
Oh, gosh, you've helped us so much, and...
All right, you're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question, though.
Yes,
okay.
do share.
This has to do with that silly old battle between right and wrong.
Positive and negative.
Okay.
Because once again, remember, the terms right and wrong are subjective value judgment, and to say that something is right doesn't necessarily mean that it's positive energy.
Okay.
To say that something is wrong does not necessarily mean that it is negative energy.
Right, okay, but what I was asking about, now we talked about it, integrity,
and
which pretty much means you're pursuing something with sincerity and with a certain element of quote-unquote rightness. I don't know how else to put that.
All right.
Okay.
Trust.
Then, okay. Now, the fact that we go through our many lives and we do some awful things and we have some awful things done to us, we get murdered.
Yes.
Okay. How can you murder with integrity, or is there like a core rightness that is really an objective rightness about the universe?
There are always circumstances which in your terminology I'll simply say are exceptions to the rule. The idea simply is to understand that in most cases the concept, the circumstances that are created that allow for the concept you call murder to occur are usually, more often than not, at least from our point of view, 99.9% of the time, the result of originally negative limiting definitions. That you arrive at a place where you find that murder is the only way out is usually the result of having taken a negative step to begin with. However, there can be an exception. Again, your society is now exploring the idea that you call mercy killing. The idea of someone riddled with a disease so crippling and disabling that in your terminology it would be of benefit to them to allow them to die rather than keeping them alive. Many individuals in your society see this as murder, and you can look at that way if you wish. But the idea is that even while there may be circumstances even in that situation that are negative, there can also be circumstances in that situation that are positive. Each and every circumstance must be evaluated based on the circumstances in that particular event. There is no one general idea that will cover every situation, of course. You can say, however, that more often than not, if an individual finds himself in a position where they must force their reality on another individual to the point where their life is forfeit, then the momentum that brought them there generally was probably based on original negative assumptions, because you never have to force anything on anyone in order to have the reality that you desire. You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Does that help a little bit?
Well, basically, you're just saying that the premise is that there is no core rightness that can accommodate all circumstances and all that is. It's on an individual basis.
Only in the sense that if what you wish is an integrated reality, then only the tools that are reflective and only the approaches that are reflective of that integrity be used. And in that sense, you can say there is a core rightness for the particular type of reality you desire. In the sense that if you want this result, then don't do anything that's not representative of that result. In other words, the means and the end are the same thing and are not separable. You follow me?
Yes, uh-huh.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Does that answer the question sufficiently?
Yes, it does. And I love you, Bashar. Thanks for all the years of happiness. And love to you and yours.
Always receive. Sharing.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day. One moment. I remind each and every one of you that the ideas that are being discussed may, in your terms, push many buttons, may bring certain ideas to the surface, may cause emotional fluctuations, but that is all right. That is a part of learning. That is a part of life. The ideas that we are expressing are the ideas that work in our society. They are ideas that we perceive can work in your society because we know that your society is similar to ours in many ways and is moving in directions that are similar to directions we have moved in. So we know that some of the ideas we are sharing can work for you. But once again, at no time are you expected in any way, shape, or form to adopt 100% any notion, any idea, any approach that we share. What we are sharing is something that works for us. Examine it at your own pace. Decide if it works for you. Sharing.
Bashar, to say that our lives have changed is probably redundant and an understatement.
All right.
I'd like to just share with you that my whole life has changed around.
You already said that.
All right.
Do you mind if we have a little fun with him?
Absolutely
Oh,
not.
thank you very much.
You have to tell
Now,
me.
what were you saying? Are you able to continue?
Yes.
All right.
But I'm laughing so hard. Okay.
Oh, all right. Your life has changed.
I think the one thing I want to say, because I want it to be on tape for everyone to hear, is to know that you can believe in yourself and love yourself for just who you are and share that with everyone. It's a gift that I feel we have all gotten here.
Thank you.
And I certainly have learned it. I have come for my husband,
Oh, all right.
Lee, who you've met.
Yes.
3 months ago, he seemed to be stricken with an infection in his spine in the second and third discs. And seems to be unable to walk and all kinds of neat things. We've been exploring every area we could imagine, and we thought we would like to ask you if there was something you could share with us about many of the people who have back problems, especially lower back.
Now, of course, this will be a generalization, but the idea, obviously, to many of you is that what you call your spine is the center of support for your entire structure, your entire system. The idea is that core beliefs are being examined, are being disassembled, are being reassembled. There is a belief to some degree that certain beliefs will no longer support. To some degree, there is an inference of doubt in what that individual is experiencing, that there is doubt that certain ideas will support. that individual, and therefore is allowing an erosion to take place within the spinal column that is representative of support. The individual must begin to think in that sense in terms of whole ideas, that the individual is a whole system, and that they do not have to look at the spine as the thing that must carry all the weight or all the brunt of any changes that an individual may go through in going from one belief to a new belief. You follow me?
Yes.
Also, I do not mean, I trust you know this, to chastise you in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
I'll use one of your planet's favorite words now. But,
Yes.
I would suggest. Well, let me ask you a question. If I may.
Here it comes.
All right. Right now, as you are interacting with us, do you feel full of conviction?
You bet.
All right. Why do you let that drop at other times? I'll wait.
I'm learning.
Yes, you are. May I ask you another question?
Go ahead.
When do you imagine oh, very good, start, nice deep breath, let it out. When do you imagine that you will cease to doubt the things you really want to do? And when do you think you will cease to need to be validated by outside sources for the things you know you really want to do?
Now, are you speaking about me or Lee?
Both.
Aha. Yesterday.
Are you saying that as of today, right now, this moment, you are a person that no matter what circumstances are going to be representative of the process you will go through, will trust beyond a shadow of a doubt that they all represent opportunities that are in line with what you want, as opposed to opportunities that are in opposition to what you want?
To the best of my ability, Bashar. Yes.
All right. Is the best of your ability, here's the clincher, as you say, is the best of your ability good enough for you? Ooh,
Can I take another deep breath?
One more deep breath. Is the best you can do good enough for you? Or are you dissatisfied with the best you can do?
Yes.
You are dissatisfied?
Yes.
Why? What can you do but the best you can do? What more could you do? One moment. We know you will do more.
I know.
But at any given moment, what more can you do other than the best you can do at that moment? What more?
Well, for 3 months,
Yes.
to have the man that you love and lived with for 30 years all of a sudden be totally and completely, seemingly incapable of moving.
Yes.
I've done everything that I think I can do for and with him.
Yes.
I've explored every area, and I'm searching still
Yes.
and asking for help. But ultimately, I recognize it's his
Yes.
reality.
Yes.
However, I also am in that reality. So how does that whole thing tie together?
Obviously, again, in general, you are mirrors for each other. So you can see reflected, shall we say, in each other's eyes, the things that will benefit each of you the most. One moment. What, in your terms, exercises have you done to assist this individual to regrow that area of his spine?
2 years ago, you gave us a blue light meditation.
Yes.
Okay? I've made tapes. I've worked with that.
Yes.
I see him in the blue
Yes.
light, similar
Yes.
to the blue balloon, all the time.
Yes.
He listens to it.
Yes.
He's reading books. He's examining his spiritual life.
All right. So you are saying that the situation he is in is giving him an opportunity to examine certain things that otherwise he may not have examined?
Oh, yes.
All right. Then is that not a purpose?
Oh, yes.
All right.
I'm not saying it isn't a purpose.
All right.
But we'd like to complete the purpose now. That's about enough.
All right. Do you mean you would like to continue the purpose in what you perceive to be a more positive, less limiting way?
Redefined, yes.
Yes. All right. All right.
More positive.
May I ask you another question?
Sure.
Thank you. When you do the blue light electromagnetic technique and you are done with it, how do you feel? What do you think about what you've done?
Myself personally?
Yes, you.
I think it's one of the most powerful things I've ever used.
All right. And when you see either a lack of what you call result in him or some other result, what do you feel?
Personally, I just about feel release in saying to him he needs to deal with his own belief system.
All right.
And I do, in that respect, feel that I've done the best I can do. I continue to see him in that light, do the healings as I know how to do them.
All right. May I ask you another question? Thank you very much. I will. What are you learning about yourself by him going through this experience?
Focus. I've quit my job.
Oh, all right. You mean the one that you didn't like?
No, the one I loved and was completed with.
All right.
Started something new,
All
and
right.
Now interested in doing the newsletter for all of us.
All right.
Seeing my life in a completely new light, completely new direction.
All right. One moment. In this particular circumstance, in order to be brief, there are some individuals who will approach you, who you will approach, that talk about certain healing techniques. Allow yourself to go in with your eyes open. Do not let your despair be your guide. Trust that the first thing you find may not be, in your terms, the ideal preference. But know this, you can, within what you call 6 to 8 months' time, find that he will be on the mend. Through certain techniques that you will attract into your life. If you decide, if you choose those techniques with both feet on the ground, rather than out of desperation, they will help, bit by bit. The process, the length of time we perceive is necessary. 6 to 8 months more minimum. Because that is the amount of time necessary, at least as far as that individual believes, to learn all the things that individual needs to learn to go on to the next phase.
Are you talking about color therapy that we've been using, the lights?
No.
Okay.
You will re-employ that again later, but right now you will encounter something a little stronger in your terms.
All right. Can I ask you another question?
No. All right. Let me rephrase that. Yes, you can ask.
I really debated ending with this, and I've decided that I really want to ask you. In September, when I was here, there was a lady who came up and talked to you about music and singing.
Yes.
And the whole time you were answering her question, I felt like you were talking right to me.
That will happen with many individuals because we are speaking on many different levels.
You talked about a person in your civilization.
Yes.
Who sings in tones.
Yes.
I felt like I was there.
In a sense, you have been.
And that my son is there.
Yes. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can't give me any more on that? No.
Have you played around with the bells?
Yes.
Are you still enjoying it?
Oh, yes, we just bought a new bell.
All right. Then you are doing what you need to do. It is the tone of the bells that for now will guide you to the information you seek. It is not completely in my domain. The tone of the bells will guide you. They'll put you in the state, the vibrational state that will lure synchronistically the information that you seek. Trust it. You're doing what you need to do. Trust it.
Will that help in the healing of his spine?
No. Have I not already implied that that is so?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Our love to you as well.
God bless.
Shirley.
Hello, Bashar.
Strawberry. May I point out something before we begin?
You'll do it anyway.
Thank you very much. You're finally beginning to know me. Oh. Now,
Yeah.
we had discussed last interaction the idea that more and more information about interactions between what you call extraterrestrials and humans were coming out in your society, and we have discussed that you had in your society a television program about the idea that these interactions are going on.
Yeah.
Did you see that program?
Yeah, I did.
Did you notice anything interesting about one particular thing that was said?
Yeah, the guys like strawberries.
Yes.
Are you growing any there yet? Did you get any going? You know, I got it going over here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But you see, that particular attraction for us is what was, shall we say, behind starting the whole nickname with you to begin with.
Uh-huh.
Even though you brought it up, we latched onto it because it was already attractive to us. And now that is coming out. Do continue.
Well, all right. Well, I want to thank you for all the things you've been.
All right.
You know, you're
Well, thank you for all the things you've been.
That's a pleasure. I'm still being quite a few.
Yeah.
You got a good friend.
Been.
Yeah, and see, occasionally you are. You know, you still do.
Thank you.
Real pain in the butt.
Thank you very much. That gives me joy.
I know.
Otherwise, I'm not doing my job.
Yeah. And you were asking the other guy, I'd like to answer a question you asked her. You know, what do you think when some of these techniques you give don't work?
Yes.
I think you're full of baloney.
Oh, all right. Any kind of meat will do.
Of course. Anyway, I want to report several things. As you know, about a year and a half, or as we count time to be,
Yes.
my mother was told to have terminal cancer, was going to live for a month or so.
Yes.
She's faked them all out. She's doing fabulous.
Thank you very much.
The lab reports are great.
Yes.
My mother's terrific, and that's, of course, why she's terrific.
Yes.
My flying carpet still doesn't come off the ground.
I see.
You know, so we need some work on that.
All right.
And when are you going to pick me up so we can plant the strawberries?
Not yet.
No, too. Okay, I'll repeat the question. When are you going to pick me up?
After much that needs to be done is done.
Yeah, one of those overflowing answers. Huh?
It is only overflowing because your perspective makes it that way.
Oh, of course.
The thing that has to be done, I guarantee you would not want to miss.
That's true. Anyway, the theme park goes very well, Bashar.
I will ask only this. Perhaps it is the first time I have asked it this way. I will ask it this way because I love you, because we are friends. Not because I ask that you do not have power in your own right, but only because I know that it is a signal of our friendship. When I tell you that there are things that need to be done and that you will enjoy them and that they are necessary, all I can ask is that you please trust me.
I do.
Thank you.
Thanks, good friend.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it since the time we sat around, 2 or 3 of us together, up to these huge groups.
There will be many more enjoyable times.
I know.
We're having one now, I believe.
Hey, not too bad.
Thank you very much.
Okay, baby. Bye-bye.
Shut it.
Hi, Bashar.
Andrew, you good day.
I just have a real simple question.
All right. Ask your simple question in a bold manner so that all individuals may share.
I had recently...
Oh, that's very much more bold.
You can't hear me? Is this better?
Bold.
Okay. I had recently a real interesting meditation where I found myself hovering over what looked to be a planet.
All right. Describe, define.
The people looked similar to Essassani, but I got the feeling they were not Essassani. They were much more pale white, about Essassani size, but they were sickly. They were ill, or something was happening to the planet. It was being destroyed and they were having to leave, or something of that nature. And it was very intense for me because I felt very much like it was my people, or I had been there, and my heart was aching.
All right. Let us say more than the idea that they are your people. You are very strongly tapped into certain things that are going on your planet. Certain, shall we say, reasons for why these things are going on. You're very much a part of that energy, being that you have been a teacher many times, that you have nurtured certain transformations many times in many different lives. You are very tapped into the transformation that is taking place. You know the part those people are playing, in interacting with your society, to some degree what you are perceiving is the Zeta society. You are perceiving, from your point of view, a sickliness, because the idea is that they do, in fact, require something from your civilization, even as your civilization requires something from theirs. The blending that is going on for many reasons. But one of the most important, I shall say, reasons is because, in very many ways, you do need each other to be what you are becoming. Because they represent one side, that is the unified mind, and you represent the other side, that is the individual conviction, which they do not understand, and the unification you do not understand. The sickliness is that they know, in some degree, they are dying without you. And that is why the interaction is going on. From their point of view, were you to look at it the other way, you might see your planet as harboring the same kind of sickliness. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Does this help you to some degree?
Does this mean this type of interaction will continue?
It will continue. And there will be more blending as we perceive that idea. And more information will come out and make it that much more easy for more blending to take place until you allow yourselves, in that sense, to become whole within your own being, and then can allow each other to be a reflection of the wholeness that you have become.
So in a sense, they're mirroring us.
Oh yes, they are polar to you, but they are mirroring you. It is very, shall we say, profound, all the different levels upon which your first official encounter with extraterrestrial consciousness is taking place. You understand?
I do.
Does this help you?
Yes.
I will simply then suggest pleasant dreams, for you are being of assistance in the dream level in ways that you may not yet be aware of, which you may become aware of very strongly within the next 3 years.
Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you very much for being the teacher that you have chosen to be.
We love you.
There are many children that love you as well. Thank you. Sherry!
Hi, friend.
And to you, good day.
First, before I forget, love from Michelle and love from Kelly.
All right. Why would you forget such a thing?
Well, in the mixed up with the question and the sharing.
All right.
My sharing is the ultimate compliment. The other day, somebody told me if I was falling, the earth was cracking and I was falling in, I'd be having a good time.
Yes! Very exciting.
Yeah, and
living on the edge.
That's something you reflected to me. And,
thank you very much for opening up those realms and vistas within yourself. Yes.
My question is for my friend Carl in New Zealand. He asked you if you were channeling in somebody in New Zealand.
Yes.
Did you say a few people? Can you say who it is?
No. All we can say is that it is going on. It is not yet finalized to the point where we can give specifics, but yes, our energy is coming through a few individuals in that area. There may be, this has not been decided yet, consolidation into one individual, but it is not decided yet.
Okay.
It will depend, to some degree, on the interaction that some individuals have with the dolphin that we have called Dreamer in those waters near New Zealand. The interactions that they may have with Dreamer may determine whether more than one or one individual will allow themselves to funnel our energy through into that area. These things have not yet been decided.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yeah. It's been a real blast.
Oh, yes. More blasting to come.
Yeah, we were having a party over in La Crescenta, and there was like a big blast, and we were just thinking, we didn't have the welcome mat, but we thought it might be some friends of yours.
In a sense, only the echo of your energy, symbolically speaking.
Well, we all ran out there and said hi anyway.
Thank you very much. Hello to you back. Sherry!
Greetings, Commander.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay.
And to you, good day.
I have to say this is a lot better than sitting back in Phoenix listening to the tapes.
Why?
Just the energy and all these people that I saw in the videos and heard on the tapes. It's good seeing them in person.
Oh, all right.
Okay. I have kind of...
One moment.
Okay.
You may say thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I have kind of a question.
A kind of a question, all right.
No.
I am interested to see what is a kind of a question.
I have a question.
Oh, thank you very much.
On the karmic template, how you described how we're all, and I agree that we're all past, present, and future right now.
Yes.
So if we're already this future person, and you described that we can change this person right now.
Yes, yes.
How is this affecting the person that's already that person right now?
It doesn't so much affect the person that you are right now, that person remains in the universe in which they belong. Your focus of consciousness simply now seems to come through the new persona that has already been there that you prefer to be. Does that help? Look at it as a bunch of parallel time tracks, and you're simply shifting focus from one to the other. The other time track that you left is still there, but your immediate focus, the you consider yourself to be, is now experiencing another time track, so to speak. I know this can be very confusing, and when you discuss what might be called fourth-dimensional temporal mechanics in third-dimensional terms, there isn't really an easy translation, but that may be the best we can do.
Is that where you were talking about that karmic template changes, the overlay would change up to another point, to another direction, so your future would be different if
yes.
I change now?
You can understand it again holographically. The idea that within a holographic structure, the ability for any reality to exist exists equally at every point. And whatever your vibration is, whatever your reference point is, determines the particular reality that you perceive. It doesn't mean the other realities are still not there, are not ongoing, in a sense, in the way they were. It simply means now that you have changed your reference, and therefore you are perceiving yourself as a different reality. Remember, it isn't literally that you go into another reality, it is that you become another reality. Remember that physical reality is what you are. You don't live in it. That's an illusion. You follow me?
Okay. But like you're saying, if you could
sort
change...
of, kind of. All right.
Well, what I'm saying is if you change the person you are now,
yes.
And you are Daryl in the future... Excuse me. You're Bashar.
All right.
Okay. You're Daryl in the future.
In a sense. In one way of looking at it.
So
yes.
could you change yourself to not be that person is what I'm trying to do. That's
yes.
what I'm... Okay. So there could be a possibility that you're changing not to be the Bashar then.
Well, in a sense, I am doing that right. A version that is many times removed from what you might perceive me to be in my natural state. Do you follow?
Yes.
Does that help?
That helps.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My name is Don. I'm so glad to have won the lottery to ask a question here.
All right. We are very happy to have won the lottery to be in communication with you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. One moment, if you please. May I digress for one moment?
You may.
Thank you very much. Are you all having a good time? Just checking. Do continue.
In our life on this planet now, one radical new personal growth aid that is causing a lot of excitement for many of us is A Course in Miracles.
All right, that is one tool, yes.
Supposedly authored by Jesus of Nazareth.
In a sense.
Another new thing causing, I don't know, maybe less excitement so far.
Depends on who you talk to.
Is a Pakistani individual now living in London who is called Maitreya and is held by many to be the Christ representing an unfoldment even higher than Jesus of Nazareth.
In a sense.
Okay.
Remember that the idea of what you term in your language colloquially the second coming is not something that will be manifest in a single individual, but in the awakening of that spirit of Christ consciousness within every individual, because the Christ consciousness is simply the same thing as the world spirit. Many single individuals can manifest it, and will manifest it, perhaps in what you may call a more accelerated form, because the reality in which you now live will allow its form to be more accelerated. In that sense, quote unquote, it won't be crucified this time. So you may find that that vibration you call Maitreya will be one gate through which the Christ energy, the world spirit, can express itself in a more fulfilled fashion than it did before. But that doesn't mean...
An example of your telling us that we have tended over the centuries to put the emphasis not on the teaching but on the teacher.
Yes. The idea primarily that the Christ consciousness wished to reflect is not so much that it wanted followers, but that each and every one of you were Christ consciousnesses. The idea of following the way was not a matter of being subservient, but being equal and reflective. Being that energy that was being demonstrated. That is the way. You follow me?
Yes.
Anything else?
A little more comment, if you will,
All right.
on the authorship of A Course in Miracles.
Yes. The idea, again, why we said sort of, is simply once again that the world spirit did communicate that work, but always, always, always there will to some degree be some filtration, that will be some interpretation in the symbology of those through which the information came, so that you can relate to it. It simply is not in the form that you would perceive it were you a non-physical being. Being a physical being brings with it certain parameters that must change any communication from a non-physical to a physical state in ways that allow you to even understand the concepts. So sometimes you will find that certain ideas will be presented and they may have a certain coloration. It doesn't mean that that's literally the only way to relate to it. It simply means that the individuals that brought that forth are of a particular vibration, that other individuals are of that same vibration. They will relate to those symbols more than they will relate to other symbols, and therefore in that format, the information perhaps will have the widest or broadest appeal for the particular vibration it was intended for. You follow me?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes.
In other words, yes, the Christ consciousness is responsible to some degree for the transmission of that information, but it is not the quote-unquote Jesus of Nazareth that you would understand, because that is simply one facet of the overall Christ consciousness. It is not, when you think of terms of incarnation or reincarnation or karmic identity, not as directly linear as you are used to thinking. It is much more multifaceted than that. Does that help?
Yes, that's what I was going to ask, is the personality embodiment of Christ consciousness, whether it be in a Jesus of Nazareth or, let us say, in a Maitreya or wherever we find it.
Yes.
How rare is it in history, and if it's taking place in our own time, what's that tell us for living in this time?
It tells you now that you have arrived at the end of the cycle of forgetfulness, and you are now beginning to remember who you are. If you want to find the idea of the embodiment of Christ consciousness, go home and look in a mirror. And then start acting as if you are that embodiment, and you will be fulfilling the idea that the Christ consciousness sought to depart and impart to all of you. You follow me?
Yes, but I was addressing, I don't want to let this issue off the hook, the individual personality that takes on this role in a historical context.
Yes.
A Jesus, a Buddha, whatever.
Sometimes they are concentrated focuses of the world spirit to act in an archetypal, symbological way, so that they will function as a reflection for the state of the world at that time. You follow me?
Yes.
They are projections of the world spirit, yes.
And they're nothing that we must resign to history. They can take place in our time and
absolutely.
in our future.
It is always ongoing, always anew, always. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Remember, it is a living idea. The past is only an illusion anyway. You create it with your ideas of space and time. It is all existing right now. Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day to you, too.
Thank you very much.
I have a question about out-of-body experiences.
Out-of-body experiences, yes?
Yes. I've had several beginnings of out-of-body experiences, and once I'm just starting to leave my body, I get very frightened that I won't be safe and I won't come back and all that.
Why do you believe you will not be safe? Why do you believe you will not come back?
I guess just stories I've heard from things I've read about
all right.
pizza and walk-ins and other things like that.
All right.
And it scares me. Although this is my main goal in life, really, is to go ahead and be brave and not be afraid and have out-of-body experiences and travel.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Do you believe to the best of your ability that everything you choose to do is being done for a positive reason?
Yes, I do.
Then do you not understand that if you are that vibration, nothing that is not that vibration can even find you, let alone touch you?
That's it.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the most important things of all has just been demonstrated by this individual. It is that simple. It is that simple. And that's all there is to it. Now, I will simply say, you may all enjoy a short break. We will resume contact in approximately 10 to 15 of your minutes of counting. we continue in our previous manner. Singers, the symbology of what occurred to you, at least from our point of view, is represented by the subject matter of which you were singing. Atlantis was in a time when there was a more natural state in the early beginnings, and not the idea of what you call the electronic equipment. The idea being representative of the fact that now that you are moving into an understanding of yourselves as electronic beings, you still need to maintain the balance of your natural roots, your natural beginnings, to keep your feet anchored on the ground in a natural way. The idea was looked at least by us, as a type of fluctuation that belonged in the piece, to go in and out of the electronic idea, to go in and out of the natural state, while talking about the time in your history that began the cycle that you are now ending. Starting from the natural state and going through the disassociations of the negativity and the negative cycles, and coming now to full circle your electronic state of realization. So to us, in that sense, the way it was performed, slipping in and out of those states, was the type of what you would call in your society a performance art. And it was to us a part of the piece, and not something that interrupted it, for it had meaning to us on another level, and we thank you. We may now continue in the previous format of sharing.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you! Good day.
May I sing a song that I wrote for you? It's about dolphins.
All right, sing a song of dolphins.
Dolphins beyond the crashing wave. Dolphins under the deep blue sea. Dolphins, they wander and play. Dolphins, oh how they love to splash. Whoa, beyond the mischief of where the waves splash. Dolphins, where the fish will play. Dolphins, where the sharks will say. Dolphins beyond the crashing waves. Dolphins, oh how they love to play. Oh how they love to play in the sea. Dolphins, oh how they love to play in the sea. In the sea. Dolphins beyond the crashing waves. Dolphins under the deep blue sea. Dolphins, they wander and play. Dolphins, oh how they love to splash. Fall beyond the mischief boats. Fall where the whales splash. Dolphins, where the fish will play. Dolphins, where the sharks will say. Dolphins beyond the crashing waves. Dolphins beyond the crashing
We thank you very much for your beautiful sharing, and we remind each and every one of you that your world. And that is what it can always be. We thank you.
Thank you.
And sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And who you good day?
I really don't have a question.
Then make a statement
Then
by
I
all
will
means.
make a statement. I would like to share with everybody.
All right.
And I would like for you to expand upon my sharing. So
Maybe.
Okay.
If necessary, maybe not.
Okay. I would just like for us to be able to assist the people who are listening to us right now. I know that most of the people here, I'm sure that all of the people here, one of the main reasons that they're here is basically because they want to create peace on the planet.
All right.
And it's been my experience. I have done a lot of healing with myself.
All right.
And to me, the most important thing is to find the peace within yourself.
Of course,
first.
it begins there. Otherwise, what can you do for anyone else?
Exactly. And about a year ago, I came to see you for the first time, and I was playing a wonderful role of what I call victim.
All right.
And I was doing it so well.
Oh, you're all experts.
And now when I look back and I reflect,
Yes.
I realize it was the most potent, manipulative role I could possibly have played.
All right,
Even
good
more
choice.
potent than the oppressor.
Yes.
And, when I was confronted with this issue, I mean, it was really rough for me. And the way that I found myself, I mean, I just feel so wonderful inside now.
Thank
the
you.
peace continues to grow and the joy. I mean, it's just incredible. It really doesn't matter what I do.
Well, that makes you feel pretty wonderful on the outside,
Yes,
too.
it does. I mean, it just continues.
Yes.
But the way that I found this
Yes.
was by going into the inner child,
Yes.
or the hurt child inside of myself,
Yes.
and going back to my child,
Yes.
to that hurt child, and just healing that child
Yes.
inside.
Always you can recreate the childhood you would have preferred to have. Remember, time and space are your tools.
Exactly. And by finding the hurt child and healing the hurt child,
You became a well adult
a well adult
who had a happy childhood.
who had a happy childhood.
Yes.
I still continue to have a happy childhood.
Yes.
I mean, the little child that likes to prank and play and
Yes,
play
yes.
jokes and goof off
Yes.
comes out, and it's okay, you know.
Oh, really? Are you
Yes.
sure?
Yes, I'm definitely sure.
Well, thank you very much.
Do you want me to jump about and laugh like a child?
If you wish, it's up to you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well said.
So anyway, I
Yes.
just basically, I just want to share it with everybody.
Well, thank you. You have.
Okay, and that's really all I wanted to say, and I just thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And thank you for being, as you say, reflective in that way.
You're welcome. Thank you, Bashar. Bye.
Henry!
Hi, Bashar.
Andrew, you good day.
I would like some guidance from you as to how I can start channeling. I've never done it
Channeling in what way?
in an altered state.
An altered state.
Yes.
All right. Understand again, fundamentally, channeling is only doing anything you love to do fully.
Right.
Now, are you doing what excites you the most?
Yes.
One more time.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you doing what excites you? Yes. All right. Now, do you have, I assume, because you asked, a specific idea of how you would like to channel?
Yes, I do.
And what is that specific idea?
Well, I thought seeing you using Daryl's body, you have a friend who could use my body. We're talking with integrity now.
Oh, we do not get many offers like that. I know what you mean, but do understand that the idea is that vibrations in the channel are matched to vibrations within us, and your body would simply then represent a version of us. We do not actually literally directly use the body. You understand?
Yes.
Now,
I do.
if you were to channel in the manner you have described, as you see the channel before you now, what would you do? How would you go about it?
That's what I'm asking you to guide me to.
All right, but I'm asking you a direct question first, so let me rephrase it. Perhaps it will be easier this way. Do you see yourself doing it? Can you imagine yourself? Can you picture yourself doing it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. It is easy to do so?
Yes.
All right. Describe the scenario for me.
I would be peaceful.
Yes, yes.
I would be in harmony.
Yes, yes. But I'm talking physically. Physically describe the scenario. You see yourself channeling. There must be a physical surrounding. What does it look like? Are you sitting in a chair? Are you standing on your head? How do you look while you are doing the channeling you say you want to do? Describe how you would look while you're channeling.
I'm sitting
Yes.
in a chair.
Yes.
I have my eyes closed.
Yes.
And I'm talking.
Yes. And are you talking to yourself in an empty room? Are there people present? Are you talking into a recording machine?
I'm talking to one person.
One person.
Yes.
Male, female?
There's no sex.
All right. Are you saying anything in particular?
No, I can't hear it.
All right. How does it feel when you say whatever you're saying that you can't hear?
Very good.
Very good in what way?
Very helpful.
All right, but a more physical description. More physical description. How does your body feel while you're doing it?
Very energized.
Very energized. All right. Do you feel accelerated?
Very.
Are you becoming warm or cool or both?
Warm.
Warm. All right. Do you feel a flow of love?
Oh, yes.
Do you trust that whatever it is that comes through you will be the appropriate thing no matter what the circumstance?
Yes.
Then allow yourself, in a meditative state, to sit down, open the invitation, and know that beings have already begun to work with you. But first and foremost and always, last but not least, it is your own higher self, in that sense, which shall do most of the talking, shall we say, at first, helped along or activated by guides, by friends, by other levels of consciousness, but always first and foremost and last but not least, it will be your own higher self that will be, in a sense, imitating what it is perceiving from the other consciousness.
Yes.
So, you can simply act it out. This is our strongest suggestion. Sit down in a room with a friend. Put no judgment on what you think must come out or the way you think it must happen. Sit down and just let yourself flow. Do not label it. Oh, that's only me. Oh, it's this great high being. Do not give it a name. Just do the action itself and get used to how it feels. Give yourself that practice, you understand? Get used to the feeling to accelerate your vibration, and you will automatically slip into the vibration that will bring you what you need to continue the channeling in that way, if that's what you really want to do. A word of advice. Not saying this is so. You may find that once you get to a certain point, you may not be as excited as you used to be about doing it in that way. If it changes, let it change. Do not think you have gone astray. You understand?
Yes.
Because many times you are drawn into a circumstance thinking that you must complete that circumstance when in fact being drawn into it to get one or two things may be all the circumstance was required for. Mm-hmm. You do not necessarily have to continue in the circumstance with an assumption that just because you went into it, it had to end in the way you were taught to believe this kind of circumstance had to wind up. You understand?
I do.
Go with the flow, but sit down and physically act it out. That is the strongest suggestion we can make for anything you want to do. As best as you can, if there's something you want to do, Sit down and physicalize it as much as you can, as if you are acting it out on a stage. Gather all the props around you that are representative of what you want to do. Act it through. Get used to being that person, to acting like that person. And you will change your vibration, and when you become the vibration of that person, nothing will stop the occurrence from happening or the situation from manifesting, because when you're that vibration, you can only get that reality. You follow me?
I've got it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bashar.
Tis like, well, all right, metaphysical piano lessons. Sharing.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question.
A question? All right.
Yeah. I just wanted to know: are we the most less advanced planet in the universe?
No. You are nowhere near the bottom. You are nowhere near the top. You are in the middle. And so are we, from our perspective. There is always an infinite direction in both directions. Always you can go farther up. Always you can go farther down. But to answer your question in a more direct manner as you meant it, no, you are not. In fact, your civilization is right on the edge of transforming into a very strong, peaceful and creative world. In that sense, understand this. Even though your planet now seems to be going through much turmoil, remember, as we have said, transformation is not the product of mediocrity. As strong as your planet has been in the negative side, that's an indication of how strong it can be in the positive side once it lets go of the negative and snaps like a rubber band into the positive side. It will go that much farther and that much faster because it's been pulled so far back on the negative side. You understand?
Yeah, I think.
You think, all right. Basically, the answer to your question is no. You are in no way, shape, or form the least advanced, as you mean that. We are aware of several civilizations that make yours look like a picnic.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Shilling.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. Apparently, we all have a higher self.
Apparently.
Yes.
The chatter must be coming from somewhere.
Yes. What I'd like to know is, I think I've met my higher self, and I'd like to know... Yes?
You're not sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure. All right.
I'd like to know whether we share our higher selves with other
You
people.
can, in the sense of what is called an oversoul manifestation, where one soul can, now again, this is your colloquial terminology, split itself into many different persona fragments that will appear to be separate individuals that share the same soul. And because the label is somewhat arbitrary, you can say that those individuals, to some degree, share the same higher self. The concept of higher self and oversoul is rather shady in terms of separating them out into distinct ideas. They can be separate, but those are a matter of definition. Those are a matter of ideas and purpose for what you want to do. But yes, different people can share the same higher, basic, overall self. Although, precise individual personas will usually have a higher self that is, shall we say, assigned by the oversoul to that particular persona to function as a guide, or a carrier wave that allows you to tap into that source to remain true, shall we say, to the vibration that represents your chosen purposes. Does that help at all?
Yes.
I did not mean that to be extremely wordy.
No. Does that mean that, could you interpret that? Because sometimes I think that people who consider they have a soulmate or
yes.
they're soulmates,
yes.
and they often have a sort of telepathic bond with
yes.
each other. Could that mean that they're higher?
Yes, that is because what you call telepathy, as we have defined it, is actually telepathy, which means you are vibrating in a similar wavelength to someone else, and therefore you are translating thought in the same way. You're not actually reading their mind, you're having the same thought at the same time because you're on the same frequency. Individuals that are split off from one basic soul self will very often have a tendency to operate on similar frequencies and therefore already have that telepathic bond. You follow me?
Yes, thank you. One last question.
Oh, all right.
Do we, as we are in this lifetime, say,
Yes.
do we fit that capacity of the higher self to maybe other entities? I'm not making myself very clear.
Yes.
But
everyone is a teacher and a server on many different levels. You are, to some degree, the higher self of other kinds of entities in other dimensions. Yes.
Well, we should recognize that responsibility.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shooting.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi. I'm involved in a relationship.
Involved in a relationship. All right.
And
quite a mouthful.
And my partner, I believe, is passing on. He's very ill.
All right.
And I wonder if there's anything that you could tell me to help me and to help him.
All right. Perhaps. We already understand that you have love, yes?
Mm-hmm.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
All right. Do not want to pry. Do you believe that consciousness can be physical and non-physical?
Yes.
You're sure?
Yes.
All right. Do you believe that what you call physical death is simply a change of state?
Yes.
All right. Do you believe that individuals who have made connections can always feel and experience communication along those established lines, even if the state changes?
But yes, I believe he'll be able to communicate to me if he dies. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you also at the same time, however, understand that the choice the individual has made or is making in changing that state means that they have a timing to fulfill in their own right, in their own responsibility, that they have other things also to do, a new job to go to? You understand?
Yeah, yes.
And that from time to time they will also be busy doing what they are doing. I do not mean to make light of this. I do not mean to be flippant. But again, I will simply interject now for general purposes that we have perceived that many individuals in the physical plane on your planet, when they think about individuals who have physically died, assume that they have nothing better to do than hang around waiting for you to talk to them or them to talk to you. They are very busy. They still have lives. They still have things to learn. They are in a new job. They are in a new state. Now, they will form to some degree a broader perspective, generally, because that is the nature of non-physical focus. This means that time for them is also very different, almost non-existent, in the sense that you understand time. An individual in a non-physical state can feel that perhaps 1.5 hour, as far as they're used to perceiving such things, has passed, but when they turn their attention back to the physical world, they may find that a year or two has passed. Such is the difference between the relative rates of time frames in the physical and non-physical reality. If you do not feel the individual around all the time, do not despair. The idea is that communication will occur, and I'll tell you this very strongly. If you send that individual a loving connection, every time, any time you think of that individual, thinking of that individual puts you on the wavelength to send a communication that will be reached by that individual, because a thought of them is a frequency. They will receive it. They will use the energy in whatever way will assist them in what they have to learn, and they will send energy back to assist you. The relationship does not end. It only changes. You can be very aware of communication. You do not have to feel torn apart. Your society is beginning to learn that what you call physical and non-physical reality does no longer have to be a barrier or a veil between experiences. It may be at first easier for you to have these communications in your dream state, because in your dream reality you are on the same plane, basically, the same level as what you call a non-physical being. And therefore it's easier for them to reach you and you to reach them. And you may wake up either having what you call a literal recall of communicating with them, or some form of symbolic interpretation that makes the most sense to your consciousness. Also, because it is not, let us say, always par for the course that they should communicate with you or you with them in a way that you are used to, many times you will find it is actually easier for them to send you a message by simply allowing you to see something,
by gently directing you in your physical life towards something that very boldly and blatantly reminds you of them. Very often those types of coincidences are actually communications, just so they let you know they're doing fine and they're thinking of you. But it is sometimes easier to get your attention by using the tools you have at hand in your physical life in order to let you know they are thinking of you. So do not always expect that the communication must be literal, that you must hear voices from the clouds. You can. But very often you will find that you will have added an extra dimension to your relationship. For remember, it is only because of the way you have been taught that you think of change as a loss, instead of understanding that the change can now incorporate not only what you have had, but more, and become greater than everything you could imagine it could be. You can cherish it on a whole different level. You understand?
Yes.
Does this help you?
Yes, it does. Is he going to be able to make this transition with some peace in his heart?
Yes. If you will give him that love beginning now. See in your mind's eye the transition being peace. See a brilliant, transparent, blue-white light infusing this individual. See golden, rosy warmth entering the heart. Let the individual know they can be at peace, and that what you call physical death is truly, truly, truly not really very much different than stepping through a doorway from one room to another in a big house.
Okay.
You understand?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleasant dreams to you. Sherry.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day. Oh, one moment. To the last person, do also understand that your guides will give you some assistance as well if you would only ask them and trust them. But it is up to you as well. You follow me? They will not live the life for you, but they will assist you. You are not alone. You have lots of help, lots of friends, many different levels. You all do. Use that friendship. It is there. Use that support. It is there. But at the same time, stand on your own 2 feet because you're equal to all of them. Yes?
I sort of represent some of the people that come all the time and don't usually get up and say anything to you.
Oh, so, spokesperson.
Yes, spokesperson.
All right. An ambassador, a representative.
Right. And yet you've been communicating with all of us.
Oh, yes.
And we'd be out there and we'd be sending messages up and you'd answer all our questions. But I had a question this time about our planet, which is going through many changes on a political sense and on a physical sense.
Yes.
And in some areas of the earth, it seems as though they're really making great strides, and yet in our country, it seems as though we're not doing quite as well as perhaps some of us thought we could be doing.
All right. Now, do not judge yourselves too harshly.
Okay.
There are many, many, many belief systems upon your planet, and it will take a little bit of time, in your terminology, to intermesh and synchronize all of those beliefs into an understanding that they can all work and can all move in the direction of universal peace.
Okay. Now, we've had a few earthquakes the last few weeks or so, everywhere from Montreal to this area.
Exciting, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It really is.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yes, because they've been fairly strong, but yet we realize there's no damage.
Yes.
And
you are learning as a civilization more and more to translate that energy in different areas into a positive action instead of the former catastrophic action you think you used to need in order to wake yourselves up.
Well, is this the way that we're using to wake ourselves up, though? By having more of this?
Yes, and it is representative of the shifts and the quake that are going on within you as you rearrange your belief system. But understand, just because it occurs that way does not in any way, shape, or form mean that it must be a negative experience.
Right.
You are the transformers. You are the safety valves.
And that also means that we don't have to do it that way if we don't want to.
Correct.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you very much for choosing a positive release.
Okay. Thank you.
And Sherry. Surprise.
I did not know I was going to ask you a question.
Now you do.
But I had one in my heart.
All right.
I'm involved with a motion picture that's just formulating a big epic film on the life of Buddha. My question to you is, what does your vivid imagination see that we could do that we don't see that would be extraordinary in this kind of a journey?
One moment. Do you understand that what you call Buddha nature is simply one more manifestation of the world spirit, also known as Christ consciousness?
Certainly.
One moment.
This film is about his particular life at that time, 6th century BC.
One moment. Have you created cohesiveness among all the individuals working on the project in the sense of gathering them together and synchronizing their minds?
I liked this, what you said. We haven't done that yet. They're not together yet. We haven't selected all those who are
all right.
going to work.
It is our suggestion that when you do, you perhaps, not meaning in any way, shape, or form to force a belief system upon them, make it relatively, shall we say, non-denominational, but gather them together. Take some time with all of them to sit in a room together, a very pleasant environment together, or outside. Feel the strength of nature. Feel the bond you all already have by being drawn together on the same project. Allow them to release their fear into nature. Allow the fear to transform any fear of shortcoming. Know that you are all more than capable of creating the project, of creating the communication. Know it. Know it is no accident that it is your desire to do so. Know beyond a shadow of a doubt that everything you need will always be provided, and you will find it will be an effortless creation. One stroke of the brush, the entire thing will flow onto the canvas and be appreciated with the proper impact by the audience that will be attracted. Synchronize the individuals by placing everyone in that environment and let them breathe. The breathing is key. Let them breathe until all feels satisfied with their part in the project. Talk it out, discuss it out. Let them be who they are. Let them let you be who you are. Know that there need be no conflict, that you are, though individuals, also one entity creating the project. You understand?
Yes.
That is our suggestion. In other words, once again, have a type of spiritual picnic. You follow me?
Spiritual brainstorming.
Yes. But not so much storming.
Yeah.
A little enlightening here and there is all right. The breathing is key. If nothing else occurs, getting all the individuals together, taking 3 big, deep, beautiful breaths and letting it out will go a long way towards, shall we say, homogenizing your desire and your momentum. Because you will then be conspiring, co-spiring together. You follow me?
Yes.
Does that help you?
That's wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this timing, allow us to introduce something that will continue a bit beyond the idea that this is, quote-unquote, our last session in this format. So that you will feel the momentum, know that you are a part of an ongoing idea that does not end, in the form of a game. The idea is that we will hearken back to what you have in past times called the 10 Commandments, which we now wish to give another recognition, one not quite so judgmentally perceived. We have discussed, just to give you an example of what we are talking about in the past, the idea of the difference between the way the information was actually originally transmitted as opposed to the way it was received by the individuals on your planet. The first commandment, as you usually call it, was, I am the Lord your God, thou shalt have no false gods before me. That is the way it translated into the mentality of the time. However, the transmission was simply, there is only one. Everything you may see that may appear to be a different manifestation is still a part of the one. That is the original transmission. Seeing the difference, the game we shall play is, from 1 to 10, I will give you the first 2. Create new versions of the idea. The first being there is only one. The second principle and the only law in creation is what you put out is what you get back. So 1 and 2, there is only one. What you put out is what you get back. It is up to you to play around and come up with what you believe are the rest. Count with me in my own language. Cha. Cha. Chew. Chew. Shimmy. Shimmy. Pef. Pon. Kashimi. Kets. Ro. Shimunk. Si. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We leave you with this counting of 10. We leave you with this game. But we do not leave you at all. We share with you forever the same dream. As you accelerate, there will be more opportunity for us to interact with you in more physiological ways, or what may appear to be more physiological to you. As your vibration changes, as our vibration changes, together we co-create a third reality in which we both can share the beauty of our respective gardens. We thank you for all the opportunity you have given us, give us now, and always will give us. Our unconditional love to you all. A fond good night. How did it go?